Hey friends, before we dive into today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Nacelle. Now, you know what drives me crazy is when I'm shopping online and I see the recommended products widget that have products in it that have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm looking at. Now, I can guarantee you that you've experienced this too. And that's why I'm excited about my sponsor today, Nacelle. They have an incredible tool that's called Page, and it actually learns your brand voice and understands how your customers shop. And then it creates recommendations that feel personalized, almost handpicked for each visitor. Now, what I love too is how simple it is to use. Their team handles everything with a white glove service. We're talking one-click installation and you're ready to go. Zero tech headaches whatsoever. So that's awesome. One other thing about Nacelle that I think is incredibly special is that it works for everyone that's visiting your store, even first-time browsers who haven't even created accounts yet. With 90% or more, as we know, these are anonymous website visitors that come to your site. And this is now a game changer for conversions because now we have this personalized experience. I've even talked to some merchants that are using Nacelle and their conversion rates have significantly improved. And more importantly, they even have an average order value. And one client's actually up over 18%. So this is really money in your pocket. So you want to turn more browsers into buyers with AI recommendations that actually work. Head on over to nacelle.com. That's NACELLE.com. You can start a free trial with them, kick the tires a bit, actually see what their platform can actually do for your store. You can also check it out, that great blog. You can see why a lot of leading brands are trusting Nacelle to power their growth. And it can power your growth too.
You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Well, welcome back to E-commerce Fastlane. I'm your host, Steve Hutt. Now, today we're going to dive into something that I think is quietly, and I say this in quotation marks, but it's kind of reshaping how customers are actually discovering and buying products online. And I think most Shopify merchants really have no idea this is actually going on. Now, some do, but I'd argue that a bulk of them do not know that this is actually going on. Now, today, my guest is Tanner Larson. He's the CEO of a company called Built to Scale. He's an author of a book, actually, that I have. It's E-commerce Evolved. And it's been, I think many people have called this kind of like the Bible almost of like modern e-commerce. I think he sold like over, I'll probably tell me a number later, but 160-some thousand copies last I seen on his LinkedIn. But it's interesting, so the book is wildly popular. He really has entrenched himself over the years in e-commerce, clearly. And, he's been in the game for more than 20 years. He has an incredible track record. I'm going to kind of give him some accolades here, but he really does help a lot of brands to grow and scale. What's interesting about him is the fact that these businesses are going into 7- and 8-figure marks. And he's done it himself. He's built and sold multiple businesses through his own company. So he really is eating his own dog food. He's helping others through consulting side of his business, but he's also done it for himself, which is really exciting. But today's conversation, I think, we kind of talked before recording. It's quite timely right now because Tanner's been working kind of inside, kind of closed door, kind of in the AI commerce beta program with a lot of these major AI platforms. And that's really, I believe, has given him kind of a front row seat to what's actually going on behind the scenes. What's interesting, and I'm sure he's going to talk more about this, but I think consumers are turning more to these AI tools now instead of Google for product discovery. I think that's really interesting. Like you think about ChatGPT, I'm a Perplexity user, it's on my screen right now as we speak. And Gemini, I use Google's AI Studio. There's a lot of stuff that's out there and people are typing things like, what's the best trail shoe for flat feet, or I need a quiet blender for my small apartment. People are actually typing this into these AI platforms and they're looking for an answer because they want to buy it. And they like to have a button they can click to go to the website and buy it. That's what we're going to talk about today. The dynamics of product discovery is changing. And so Tanner, welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited about this, and I can't wait to, like I was telling you before, I can't wait to just talk about this stuff because nobody else is.
I know. I have goosebumps right now talking about it because I think we really are on a cusp of something that is happening. I just think of my own kind of like daily workflow as a media company owner. My whole business wouldn't run if it wasn't for leveraging some human intuition, but leveraging some technology to actually help me in my day-to-day. The exact same thing is going on now with Shopify or e-commerce brands. So I just want to talk a little bit about, I want to set the stage a bit first. And I think you've worded it this way, that you're saying that Shopify merchants are kind of fighting yesterday's war, and there's this new battlefield that's kind of emerging. Can you paint the picture a bit or share kind of like your mindset about what do you believe is going on right now in product discovery and how AI is fitting into all this?
Sure. So to preface this, if you're listening, I'm not a huge fan of hope or of hype. Hope. I love hope. I don't like hype. But what I want to say is, to preface this, is I've lived through, since 2001, I've lived through all the major evolutions from, direct linking, AdSense, Google, the origination of SEO, early days of Facebook ads, TikTok shop, all the stuff, right? This is bigger than all of that. And it's probably as big, if not bigger, than the invention of the search engine. And again, that sounds hypey, but I want to preface this as how important this is and why I'm so excited to talk about it today. But to go right into your point, what's happening right now is the way people shop online is fundamentally shifting. It's the biggest shift we've seen ever since people stopped shopping via desktop and started shopping on mobile.
Right.
Okay. And this is already growing 300% faster than mobile shopping ever did. And what this is that people are now preferring AI, whether it be a bot, a search tool, or whatever, for product discovery. And I mean, we're talking 58% globally of online shoppers prefer some form of AI search for product discovery over traditional search engines. Now, if you're a paid ads guy, my brand only runs on paid ads, we don't even do SEO. If you're one of those guys, keep listening, because this is going to affect you as well. And I'm a paid ad guy, so I understand what you're trying to glaze over here. But product discovery is this new thing that AI has done. And what it is people are not only just shopping through AI but they're taking the recommendation of AI. They're basically allowing AI to make the decision for them. So AI goes out, it curates the results based on their contextual search. It delivers them the information and an array of products that suit their needs. People click and they buy. There's no more go to Google, search 10 or 12 products and compare and contrast. None of that. AI has become the most trusted shopping assistant on the planet. And right now, upwards of 40% of online consumers in the last 3 months have already made a purchase through an AI recommendation.
Wow. So it's working.
Yeah, it's working. And it's crazy how much it's working.
Wow, that's wild. I was actually kind of creeping on your LinkedIn profile too, and a couple posts and things that I've seen. And I think you made some comments. You're saying that 80 to 90% of Shopify stores are completely invisible to AI platforms. It sounds a little bit dramatic, but can you walk us through a little bit about what it actually looks like from a customer's perspective that's actually using ChatGPT for product recommendations? What's happening and why are these stores not coming up in their search engine?
Okay, sure. So I'll keep it kind of high level here because I know we've got some more technical questions that we'll get into a little bit later.
Yeah.
But the high level of it is AI commerce. Now, there's two different types of AI. Most people don't realize this, and there's actually multiple types, but in the main scheme of things, we're all used to the ChatGPT type of AI. And then there's this new underlying level called AI commerce, and it has its own engine, and I don't even know if algorithms are the right word, but its own way of crunching, collecting, and utilizing data. Now, AI commerce is how AI is going to monetize and move into actual profitability because they're burning cash so much right now. Right. Now, AI, traditional search engines, all of them use data completely different. So AI commerce, it doesn't rank, it doesn't use SEO, anything from SEO. It doesn't read content on your site the same way. It looks for a type of structured data. Now, in most cases, when people who are more technical, when they think structured data, they think rich snippets or some kind of schema markup, right?
Yeah.
And yes, in the sense that it's structured data, that's similar, but it's like apples to oranges similar, right? They're both fruit, but they're completely different. And so the thing is AI commerce, because of the way It contextually returns search results. It has to do comparisons. It has to crunch all these different like 6D, 8D virtual version of like compressing and calculating data. It has to have different kinds of data to be able to do that. So the problem is that if we just look at the basic schema level thing for regular sites, less than 30% of websites in the entire world have any type of schema markup, which again, schema is not what we need, but it's structured data. And then if you move into the e-commerce world, 18% of websites actually have some form of schema. So if they don't have that kind of schema, why would they have any of this new stuff that AI needs?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's happening. So when someone goes to ChatGPT to answer your exact question, and they search, or they go to Perplexity, or even the Google News Shop with AI, or any of that stuff, and they shop, if you notice, after a few different searches, only a handful of brands ever get recommended. Now, I mean, by a handful, I mean probably a few dozen to maybe even a few hundred, depending on the niche.
Right.
But if you also look, you'll almost never see a Shopify store in there unless it is like a top 100 type store.
Right.
And the reason for that is because they're just missing those data elements. And something I learned from, we'll talk about this in a second, but some of the thing I learned about from the beta programs that I've gotten to be, and I'll explain a little bit what that means in a second, is that the way AI is magnificently expensive to operate. We've heard Sam Altman talking about quit saying please and thank you to your AI because it costs money, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the way the AI algos are, again, I say algos, but it may not even be that. Machine learning is working. It's trained to go out and find what's easy to compute and find. So if it comes to your site and it was going to require a massive amount of computational effort to find that data on your site, it's going to give it a pass and go somewhere easier. So that's again, it's not anything crazy. You just have to provide it the right data. And I'm not an AI guy. I fell backwards into this. We'll talk about that. But it's mind-blowing when you think about what's missing and how simple it is, but how massive the difference is when you don't have it from an AI commerce perspective.
Yeah, it's wild. So it almost sounds like there really is, based on what you've just said, that there is this visibility gap that's actually happening right now. And when I think of some of like, the major retailers, and so, let's not talk about the Shopify stores, but the major retailers, let's start from Amazon, let's think Walmart, let's think a few others like that. Like, what is their visibility like in ChatGPT right now? If people are looking for something, are they being recommended? Do they have the infrastructure layer of this data layer that you're referring to?
Yes, they do. And
they do. Oh, okay.
This is actually this is all stuff that I learned from the beta programs that I got to be behind the scenes in.
Okay.
Now, if you want to take like a top-down hierarchy approach of like the global market in terms of data visibility, completeness, if you will, Amazon is the only website at 100%.
Oh.
Now, Amazon has been working towards this for the last 5 years. I mean, obviously, they know what everybody doesn't know. They have all access to everything and have, ridiculous stuff. But they literally have an entire department, and it's a big department, lots of people whose only job is to make sure that the data layer is set up for every single product in their catalog. They just continue it, and every time a new product comes up, they continuously add to it. They're even going so far now that they are doing 3D renders of all products on their own dime and putting it into their data layer because they know the visible search stuff that's coming in AI commerce. And they're around, the rumor is they're over 50% completed with their entire product catalog of 3D renders already all set to go out when this is a thing.
Oh my.
So they're huge, right? Obviously we knew that, but they're at 100%. They're the marquee. And honestly, nobody's going to get to that level, but you don't have to. That's what's crazy. So, okay, Amazon's at 100%. The next closest is Walmart. They're about 97%. Okay. Now, when you go from Walmart, the next site that's credible is Target at 30%. Now, all the rest of the world and the market falls between 30% and 0. Yeah, that's how far behind everybody else is because only the big players. This is another thing is like, this is all proprietary stuff to these AI platforms as they're developing it. They're not like publishing guides and telling people what to do because they're all still building it, right? So nobody knows unless you are behind the scenes or you have the inside track or you're a major player who gets open door access to them. And then Shopify specifically, from that 30% gap to 0, Shopify stores on average sit at about 8%. And that's not because they're optimized. It's because of the default infrastructure in the way Shopify stores are built, that they automatically have that minimal level of AI visibility just because of the way they're built.
Yeah. And then this is all part of their data layer that they have that's kind of like built into it. Now, this is not using Shopify Magic and things like that. This is like truly just what's baked into the
Correct.
product record that is available.
Yeah, it's nothing that like anybody has to do. You launch a new store, you add your product, you actually fill out your product your product details when you're forming a product.
Right.
That gets you to almost that 8% mark.
Oh, man. All right, so that's a starting point. But man, when you see a couple of these major players like that, this shows that there's such a huge opportunity, which kind of leads me to my next question a little bit about, because when I started doing a little bit of research and digging in a bit, like Forrester released a recent article and talking about just the opportunity costs out there, how revenue is shifting a bit from traditional kind of discovery and purchase to what's happening now on the AI side. And that's kind of how you're fitting in as a mix. That's what we're talking today. So can you talk a little about what Forrester had to say, and then kind of what does that mean for all of us?
Sure. So the stat you're talking about, and then there's a couple of them, but the big one is that in 2025, Forrester is predicting a $47.6 billion revenue shift away from non-AI ready brands. Okay. And now if you think about it, that's AI commerce has only just begun to be rolled out. We're only a few months into this, if really that, because some of them haven't even rolled out yet. But we have the rest of 2025. So where do you think most of that's going to hit? It's going to hit Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Most of that 47 million is going to hit there. Now, beyond that, they also say that AI commerce and AI shopping assistants, the two categories of those, are going to influence $286.6 billion of e-com revenue by 2030. So the 47 billion is just a drop in the bucket compared to where it's going.
Oh, man. And so you're referring to a little bit, because you made a comment about these other different AI assistants or even on-page personalization AI assistants. So there is some on-page things. I think there's even some brands that are listening today that, they're even a little bit worried to even have an AI chatbot running on their website because they feel that they don't really know what's going on in the black box. And are you on brand? Are you recommending products that are actually in stock? And, there's a whole nother story around like using AI tools, even forecasting tools, customer support tools. It can go down this crazy cluster. What's your mindset around that? I want to get into kind of what you've been working on and kind of the behind the scenes work that got us here today. But I just want to hear your mindset, because some people are when they think of AI, sometimes they're a little bit confused about. We're talking about discovery in AI kind of search tools like the GPTs and Perplexities. But what about on-page and kind of like operational AI tools?
Yeah, so what I say may piss off some of the app sellers out there, but so it's not bad. I mean, we're just talking about like kindergarten level version of AI for e-com on page versus, high school and college level of where it's going, right?
I see.
So it's still very early. Now, the best ones that I've seen, and I mean, from my perspective, the only ones that I will allow on one of like my client sites or portfolio brands are ones backed by our own LLM or our own like data resource. So it's not reliant on scraping the site. It's got its own data repository. And the reason for that is exactly what you said of what's inside the black box. Where is it pulling information from? Is it giving the wrong stuff? We've seen a lot more errors. And I also have noticed a lot of hallucination type stuff in on-site AI chatbots. But I will 100% say that's not my specialty. Those are just my experiences with it. Where all of this is coming from is from more the platform level. But I will say that what we're talking about here will massively impact the on-page AI bot-ish, whatever you want to call it, market once the store implements this data layer.
Yeah, this is amazing. So let's talk about this kind of work that you've been doing kind of behind the scenes. This is kind of what kind of got me on your radar, or got me on your radar a bit, was the fact that you've been behind closed doors, you've been working in these beta programs, and I think you have a very unique perspective now because you've kind of seen what these large language models and these operators are actually doing, and they've asked for your comment and support and saying like, how do you believe we should structure some of this? And I think you've done a lot of learnings, and that's kind of you're starting to pay it forward now. And we'll talk about your AI visibility system in a few minutes. But can you talk about like what's happened behind the curtain, so to speak?
Sure. So this was 100%, guys. I mean, I love to claim it as like I'm just so great, but no, it was right place, right time, right connections, right background and history. The way it happened is one of my long-term brands. Now, I've got a lot of different multiple levels of NDA going on with these things. So there's certain things I can't say and name
Fair enough.
names and stuff. But
Yep.
I'll give you as much as I possibly can. And I will say that these are the type platforms that we literally use every day. I'm safe to say that. But anyway, one of my big clients, 9-figure brand that, I mean, everybody knows, household name, sells kitchen appliances. They were invited to one of the big platforms. I don't know if they didn't really call it a beta, but it was a closed door rollout of like testing, and going back and forth and showing these brands what needed to be done so their engineers could get information, we could get information, whatever. Because I'm working with that brand, I found out about it, talked to them, asked if I could sit in on it. They looked me up. They're like, oh yeah, this guy somewhat credible. And so they said yes. So that started it. And then through the grapevine, I heard that another brand that I had used to work with for years, and I'm still on really good terms with their CEO and their exec team, was also in a program similar for a different platform. So I hit them up and said, hey, I'm already in this one. You mind if I sit in with you guys? And maybe I can, I'll help wherever I can help, basically, but I want to see what's going on. So luckily, straight up lucky, they said yes, I got in. So I've actually had the opportunity most of this year, been behind the scenes of 2 different major platform commerce rollouts, like sitting with their engineers, going through their program, looking at how they onboard a site, what they need, why it doesn't work, what needs to work, all of that. And it's why I got so excited, because I've never seen anything like this. And it blew my mind because, for example, the big brand that I'm talking about, they're 9 figures. They spend over $1 million to $2 million a year on content, SEO, all of that. They have a great content marketing plan. They have great SEO. They get a ton of organic traffic. They got invited into this beta program, and as part of the testing, they ran all these test campaigns and searches and prompts, and they didn't show up at all. And it's like, wait a minute, these guys are doing literally everything that you could on the SEO front. You're a search engine. Why is it not working? And they're like, because we do it differently. And so then they started showing like the structured data, the different approaches and things. And it wasn't just this one brand. Like they were showing us data of all these different brands. Look, everybody has this. This is the problem. We do things differently. We need this kind of data. And it's not complicated data. It's just stuff that we never knew to provide or had to provide before because nothing else could use it. So the cool thing that I also learned getting to be in both of these different programs is that the requirements were basically the same. It wasn't like, platform A needed completely different data than platform B. They needed the same stuff.
I
and
see.
They needed it installed and positioned the same way. So they were interpreting it the same way. They may have their own super secret sauce of how they do their calculations to give better recommendations or comparisons, but the base data they need from every site is the same.
Yeah. It's interesting you made a comment about the SEO thing, because I think that's a little bit of the misconception about what's going on about how do you become recommended in a commerce search inside ChatGPT or Perplexity, for example. A lot of people are under at least in the SEO world, they think about this EAT algorithm, this experience and expertise and authoritativeness and trustworthiness. And people are writing and are always trying to figure out a way, how can I have the unique voice and tone and brand and have built a certain amount. And then I think a lot of people are under this misconception that just because you are authoritative and trustworthy, the problem that you're now stating is the fact that it's a structured data problem, not just your authoritativeness problem.
Correct. They're not even looking at that, or at least the commerce engines. And I shouldn't say they're not even, but it's like a third, fourth order type concern,
No,
not
totally.
at the top level.
Right.
And it's not relative unless the search is so specific and contextual that they need to reference that. And the easy way to kind of picture this is to think about it like what your humans see and what search engines care about, which is your nice, H1, H2, all that, jazz.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They don't care about. They don't see it the same way. They're only looking at the code for a specific type of JSON LD type code, which is the same code you would use for schema or something else, but a specific snippet that contains all this data. And again, we'll get into that when we, get a little further in, and I'll show you some examples and some of the different layers that you need.
All right.
But yeah, and the other thing to consider is, and understand, is that AI commerce engines, they don't scrape. They do crawl, but they don't scrape. They don't compile data the same way. Like the way search engines, I mean, I'm not a science geek either, so like my language may not be the right language for it, but the way search engines typically do it, the way I understand it and can explain it, is it's very, one-dimensional linear compression of data, scrape it, internalize it, whatever. AI continues to add new dimensions and comparison angles and data points, and it calculates and crunches in all these different dimensions. And the thing is, every one of those different dimensions requires a different type of calculation and a different type of supporting data to make it work, which they can't get from that linear level 1 type of data.
Ah, I see. So, what's interesting too is because I think about when I chat with merchants, or even sometimes I get some DMs and stuff, and we talk, these sort of topics come up a lot. And one thing I find interesting is that a lot of merchants actually still feel that maybe writing better product descriptions, or, we joked about maybe adding like an AI chatbot, but some are no. But it sounds like there is, from what you're saying, that there's actually an infrastructure problem right now that's the reasons why they're not being discovered. It's not SEO friendly, on-page content and product descriptions and all the other things. There's a lot more other infrastructure thing. You throw out some words like JSON, LD, and snippets, and like all the schema markup and all this stuff. I mean, there are tools and things that maybe can help people from the SEO perspective, but you're suggesting now that they're not using any of that as far as the discovery engines built into these AI systems. So can you talk about this kind of like the real truth of this infrastructure challenge that people have right now?
Sure. So on that note, one rumor that's been flying around, and especially in like the black hat, gray hat type world, is that adding text that they think AI wants to the alt text of an image is the new way to get in there. But guys, this is nuts. I mean, there was a whole age of SEO black hatting before one of the animal updates when everybody was stuffing alt tags,
right?
Trying to make themselves rank better.
Yeah.
This AI doesn't care about your alt tags, and the engineers confirm that they literally don't care. So if you're hearing that and thinking that, or some developer's trying to charge you money to do that for you or whatever, don't. So yeah, now the snippets and the schema, like those type of things, typically, there's different ways of implementing it, but they're a form of structured data. They typically use some form of JSON to input them into the code. The AI data uses the same type or similar type of JSON, which is called JSON LD. Again, technical stuff you guys don't really need to worry about because it's not that important in what we're talking about. But the way it displays the data is it allows for the AI engine to come in and basically engorge itself on everything it needs from your product page in one chunk, in a format that, now, I don't know how many of you guys know, but ChatGPT, ChatGPT, Anthropic, all these major like AI bot platforms, they love JSON. I didn't know this until I got into the beta program, but like if you build a ChatGPT custom GPT, you get way more performance out of it if you put JSON in the instruction field instead of text.
So,
because again, it's structured data, it's easier for it to read, it becomes more efficient, it's order of operation type stuff. So anyway, it's super powerful, but the infrastructure problem is exactly that. You need what we call an AI visibility layer, and it needs to be on every product needs this. This is where it gets a little bit tedious and people go, oh man, this sucks. Yes, It does one time.
Yeah.
But and this is why an app, if someone tries to sell you an app, don't do it. Currently, right now, the AI engineers said that 59% of Shopify App Store apps can negatively impact AI accessibility because of the way they're coded and the way they inject code. Now, I don't know what those apps are. They didn't tell us any of that. They just said, that can be a problem, especially if you don't have the structured data for them to get around. So my inference from that was, if you have the structured data, the apps aren't really a problem because it can get around it. But the apps, if you don't have the structured data, may mask whatever kind of other data that you would normally be able to get.
I see.
That's my understanding. Again, I'm not quoting that as like the gospel.
I see.
But you need this data layer on every product, and every data layer is unique to that product. There may be some commonalities like brand name or things like that, but all the specifics that AI needs to be able to recommend that product in a specific contextual search is unique to that product. So it does require some legwork. It does require some labor up front to use that, to collect that data. But again, you can use AI to help you get that data. And then it has to be put in.
I see. So I know you have some NDAs and things like that, but it would be really cool if you could even anonymize some of the data. Like, are there any kind of real world results that you can kind of talk a little bit about maybe a percentage of lift of discovery or conversion rate? Or I'm just curious on when people have implemented this structured data layer that you're referring to, which I think is all part of your AI visibility system. But
correct.
What are the results that have happened because of it?
So it's going to depend on, everything. When someone's like, well, what's my ROI in this? Well, it's going to depend. But the reality of what we're seeing across the board is that, for one, AI referred traffic converts 3 to 4 times any other traffic. So, one of the brands that I actually have a case study on, we could talk about now or later whenever you're ready, they're seeing 14% conversion rate on AI referred traffic. Their normal store conversion rate is around 3.25%.
2-ish, 3-ish, yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Now, the other thing is that from the time of implementing an AI visibility layer on a product, assuming that we're not talking about a product that nobody in the world ever cares about, like underwater basket weaving for cats or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Assuming it's a normal product that has demand, most people start seeing AI referred traffic within 2 to 3 weeks, if not faster. We've seen some sites in the beta program are getting it within 6 days. So it happens very quickly. This is also a one-time thing, right? It's not something you have to continuously play with. You set it up and you're good. So
I see.
And the ROI on it builds over time, right? And it just magnifies. So whatever cost you spend to get it set up, it's a sunk cost, it's a one-time cost, and then every sale, kicks that ROI up higher and higher and higher.
Right.
As AI continues to grow. So I don't know if you want to get into like some case studies right now, or if you want to.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I think it's perfect timing because just would love to know more specifics about what happened. I think it feels warm and fuzzy when you actually know that other people have implemented. This is so leading edge right now, and there's like wild success, but we're in the early days.
Yeah. So I actually printed some of this stuff out so I don't mix up the data.
Cool.
I was telling you before, I was like, I've never actually printed out stuff before a podcast.
It's important. This is important to have these stats. I love it.
It is, and I wanted to be able to make sure I set them right. So if it sounds like I might be reading a little bit, it is. I'm making sure I don't mess up. But so like one brand that has used this very well is Vitamix, blender company, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows Vitamix. It
For
sells
sure.
higher end blenders. Well, once implementing the data layer on their products, they saw a 217% increase in AI-driven product views. 14% conversion rate, that's the one I was talking about, on AI-referred traffic. So that obviously is a 4x higher than their average. I said 3.25. Their actually average is around 3.5. Now, the big thing that I really geeked out on is 40% of the buyers that bought through AI-referred traffic were new customers. So it's a whole new channel for new customers. Now, this blew my mind because Vitamix, yes, they get new customers every day. There's people getting older every day, but
Yeah, for sure.
they're huge.
They are.
And so to have any traffic channel referring 40% new customers is absolutely insane. And so that's one. Now, again, same product, same price point. All they did was make it visible to AI. They add the AI data layer and all the different components within that, which we can talk about. So another case study, if you want to go there, coffee accessory company. This is one I'm not allowed to say the name of, but they make one of the absolute coolest, like insulated travel mugs that I've ever seen. I've got a couple of them. My wife, I never get to use them because she's always got them.
Yeah.
And she actually has like multiple ones in her car. But what I thought was so amazing about what they did was they actually started adding AI structured data specifically about fit and compatibility because they knew that was one of their biggest issues. And they found out from the AI beta program that like, hey, these are what kind of people are searching for these kinds of products. So they went out and they actually measured and got all these dimensions so that they could provide product data and say their product fits Tesla Model 3 cup holder.
Right.
And then they went out and did it to, Chevy Cavalier, Ford Bronco, and now there's some things that they don't fit. And they literally put that in there as well. Will not fit. I'm making this up. I don't know what it won't fit, but won't fit Kia Sorento or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But they added that in there. So yes, they would get excluded from some other searches, but it also gives credibility when AI is crunching the number that it's like, hey, this is genuine data.
I get you.
And they saw a 70% lift in AI referred traffic from AI prompted search.
Okay.
I don't know. That's all the data I have on them specifically because they only wanted to share a little bit, but I wanted to talk to them about the cool thing of like, does your product fit a specific thing, right? Like if it's a compatible, like I would think, does the coffee mug insulate well? Does it hold temperature well? I never even thought about like, will it fit? But I have so many coffee mugs and Stanleys and all kinds of stuff that I can't take in my car because they don't fit.
Yeah. What's interesting about all of this, and I'm always looking at it from, kind of quote unquote, the old school kind of SEO lens, but I think about, the long tail keyword optimization, the structured data that goes along with, travel mug that fits into a small car cup holder or BPA free travel mug that's dishwasher safe.
Yep.
Like, I think the old school way was to actually write content around that.
With a huge long tail keyword in a sentence or name the page. Now, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up because I wasn't even thinking along that, but the new version of long tail is the prompt itself. So, but you don't have to optimize for the prompt. You have to optimize, or not, I shouldn't even say optimize. You have to provide the contextual data needed for the prompt to be effective. What I mean by that is so AI search can actually effectively return the results that prompt needs for the customer.
I see.
So long tail is still a thing. It has just shifted from, and if you think about it now, it's literally a question versus a statement. Long tails used to be more of a statement, no connecting words, very strategic and concise. Prompts now could be, 5 sentences. Or another thing that's happening really quick with AI commerce is uploading a picture along with your prompt as a reference. So I'll give you, I don't have all the stats on it, but I can give you an example of where this is really dominating right now.
Sure.
Women's makeup. So what's happening, and Sephora and Glossier are dominating makeup right now when it comes to AI referred traffic. And the reason they're doing that is because they realized, they looked at all their data and they said, hey, one of our biggest things is we have huge return rates on first-time customers having shade matching problems with whatever the color's not what they thought it was, or it doesn't match their skin tone, whatever, right? Well, now they've figured out a way to put contextual data in for their shade matching. And so now people are uploading, like not because of they did that, but people were already doing that. And the women are uploading like, here's a picture of my face and what's a good shade. Who makes a good, I don't even know women's products, but a concealer, I think that's one.
Yeah.
Concealer for my shade, or for my skin, whatever the search would be. And now they're popping up like crazy and they're matching. And the one stat I have from this, and the reason it's top of mind for me, is they saw, specifically Glossier, saw a 40% reduction in new customer return and exchanges because of this. They're getting the match right off the bat.
Right.
And obviously the thought there is you now have a customer for life who's happy and they're going to buy a whole lot more because they had such a good first experience.
I see. And this is like AI generated product description. You're saying that the return rate is significantly lower than maybe just regular discovery live off the website or through just regular Google search.
Well, because if you think about it, if you do the regular type of product discovery, even if they know Glossier, because I'm sure most women do, right? They go to Glossier's website, even if they just typed it in, they search the product, they look at the shade, the color swatches of the shades, and they pick what they think is the right one.
Right.
Well, now what AI is doing, they're uploading a picture, or they're not. They're saying, here's my skin tone, whatever, but they're uploading a picture a lot of times. And then they're saying, what's the right shade? What's the right product? Oh, by the way, I have combination skin or oily skin or whatever else. They're sending that. AI, as we all know, AI can analyze an image and tell us what's in it. So it's analyzing the image. I have no idea what types of calculations or computations it's doing, but it's using that along with the prompt and whatever other data it has, going out and looking for a match and then crunching it through whatever their data computation engine is, and then returning a curated response that is written specifically for that woman. Here's what we recommend based on your skin type. Here's what other people have said with a similar skin type. Here's the 3 products we think are the best, and here's why we like each one of these products for you.
I see. Okay, this is amazing.
That's magical. If you think about it. Talk about product discovery at a whole nother level. And it's nowhere in that as salesy. It's literally like your best friend advising you or helping you figure it out. Now, my wife is the perfect example of this. She has a ChatGPT bot thingy, whatever, installed on her phone. She named it Echo, and she talks to it incessantly, like more than me. I'm always like, who are you texting? She goes, I'm talking to Echo. But a lot of our shopping in our household comes from it. Now, one thing she did last week that hurt the wallet, but I was like, holy crap, that's cool, was she decided she wanted to redecorate one of our fireplace mantles. She uploaded a picture of the mantle, and then she told Echo to, hey, here's here's pictures of the house. What product or what items or swag or whatever the heck she calls them, things would go on the mantle that would make it look good. I want this type, contemporary, modern, whatever, right? It returned a result with those products that it thought were good on the mantle. She goes, oh, I don't like that one. I like this one, whatever. It gave her another result. She goes, I love all of those. Where can I buy them? It gave her links to all of them. So the only other website that's ever been close to that for home goods was like house.com, where sometimes you could click on an item in a picture and go to that product. But this is literally perfect for her, and she already knows what it's going to look like on the mantle. She ordered all of them. My wallet said, ouch. But when she showed it to me, I was like, holy crap. I can't believe you did it.
It's so interesting with this, with the image, being able to analyze them and stuff like that. Because I think of what Google has been doing for a while with their Google Lens, and what's interesting with even with Pinterest and stuff too, they have an option too, and saying, hey, I like, take a little picture of this thing, or here's the dress I like, and then showing all the other dresses. You still have to kind of click through, and it's not. It's a little bit of discovery. It's like a visual search engine, as you know, with Pinterest and stuff like that. It's so interesting what's happening, which I think is completely different as we already talked about. You have this thing that I think we should talk about now, about this AI visibility system. I want to talk about maybe the implementation path, because I think people would agree. You have some great stats. It's clearly that there is some major early adopters right now that are having wild success. I guess the opportunity costs, maybe we should talk about that first, but the opportunity cost of not implementing this sooner than later. I'm worried about what happens later when all of a sudden more and more people start getting involved in it. Because right now it feels like people aren't implementing this data layer, and because they're not implementing it, that means there's lots of opportunity for those that want to do it. But then later on, 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, it might be more challenging to be discovered, even though you have this new data layer installed.
100%. You're nailing it.
Okay.
This is also what's coming from the AI engineers and their program and what they're talking about. But
all right.
Yeah, so to kind of clarify on that. So yes, right now is, I would say it's the Wild West, but it's not the Wild West, because it's not an anything goes. It's like, here's what you need to do.
Right.
It's the gold rush. Let's call it that.
Gold rush, yeah.
Right? There are, again, in Shopify specifically. So we ran a test, because when everybody started saying, oh, Shopify's at 8%, whatever, I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. Like, is this legit? So my team, we went and took 100 Shopify stores, but some plus, some whatever, big to small, whatever, ran a whole bunch of prompt searches. We ran basically 300 different prompt searches through the things, tested the stores separately. Now, in the prompt searches, less than 12% of the time did a Shopify store come up in any of their results. But in terms of the Shopify stores that we analyzed 100 of them, put them through one of our data tools to figure out how much AI visibility they currently have. So now they have 8% to start. So I'm thinking, oh man, they all got to be closer to target or whatever. But only 11 out of the 100 were over 8%. And the highest one was like 14.
I see.
So it's, Shopify doesn't have it yet. And that goes for WooCommerce and all, Acustom, Magento, all the sites. They're all struggling. But the opportunity right now is huge. Now, one thing I want to talk about why the opportunity is so huge that also blew my mind, but it makes sense when we think about how AI works. AI learns from itself. So think about this. AI recommends brand X that has the data, and instead of your product, so your product doesn't show up, but another product does. Customers click and engage with that brand X product. Okay, whether they buy or not, I don't know how far the tracking goes yet in a lot of platforms, because I'm not involved with all of them, but some of them can track all the way through the sale. Okay. Not all of them can. But let's just call it engagement. Okay, now that person engaged. AI remembers, hey, when I recommended this product, out of these 3 or 4 products that were recommended, this one got the most engagement. So now the next time someone has a similar prompt, that's going to weigh heavier to push that product up. And it gets more engagement. So it's like this snowball of
flywheel. Yeah.
yeah. And it's when the engineers were walking us through this, like my eyes were bugging out. I'm like, you're telling me that like, even if it's not the best product, it still has the chance of getting recommended more just because of engagement. And they're like, yes, but that's where the structured data comes in to support it. So if, because it has more recommendations, it's going to have more weight. But if you provide structured data that shows AI why your product might be better or is the perfect fit for this particular prompt, then you'll still show up. You may even outperform that one. But it's just one more thing that stacks the deck against you if you wait. Right? So, AI, according to eMarketer, AI shopping is growing 300% faster, like I said, than mobile commerce ever grew.
Right.
Harvard Business Review says it's the most disruptive force since smartphones. It's growing insanely fast. So the window right now, I think the fast mover window is 12 to 18 months. And then what I think is it's not going away, but it goes from being a competitive advantage and a momentum growth type thing that compounds to a requirement just to be able to compete.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, I think timing is good right now. I mean, this is being released in June of 2025. And what's interesting is just how close the Q4 holiday season in BFCM is. And so knowing that, I mean, like a lot of brands, like half of their yearly revenue or more comes out of Q4. Or certainly in the BFCM time, a lot, as you know this, how many billions of dollars is generated on Shopify's network alone and how large Amazon is too during that time. So what's your thought process on implementation of this? And then is this another competitive advantage of setting yourself up for success for Q4?
Yeah. So from like my client base, my network of people that are like close to me, my portfolio brands, this is like all stop, no new initiatives until this is done. Now, we're not going to stop running ads or doing what normally makes us money, right? But we've got a lot of other half going initiatives that I basically put the kibosh on. Like, no, stop. This has to be done. I mean, the one stat that we talked about earlier was that 47 billion. We're halfway through the year.
Huge.
Where do you think that's like? Again, it's going to come from Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So yeah, I think the implementation time is you want to jump on this. Now, if you have a lot of products, I know exactly what you're feeling because some of my portfolio brands have thousands of products.
Yeah,
and I'm like, so we don't have all thousands of products done. We 80-20 it, right?
Yeah, fair
20% of your products are generating the vast majority of your sales.
Right.
Focus on those and work top down from best to least of the 20%, and then build out a infrastructure or a process in your business where every month, every week, whatever, you tackle X number of additional products until eventually your whole product catalog is dialed in.
Right. So let's talk about more specifically around AI visibility system. I guess that's what you're labeling the product. And I think there's a live cohort and all these other things. Can you talk a little about the process, the system, and kind of what you believe some next steps could be for those that are listening?
Certainly. So yeah, I'm building out a program for this called the AI visibility system. And again, because there's unfortunately, like there's no one else teaching it, right? So fortunate for me, like you got to learn from me right now.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's just nobody else has. I don't know if there's anybody, and I'm trying to toot my own horn, but I don't know if there's anybody else on the planet that has my level of experience with e-com who also has this backdoor data and everything else and has seen it and knows how to put it together the way that it's worked and had the team that could actually test it and make sure it works outside of these closed door programs. So again, not trying to say, oh, you have to, work with me or whatever, but this works. And so what the AI visibility system, what it teaches is how to install an AI visibility layer into your product pages. Okay. Now, an AI visibility layer is comprised of about 5 things. Now, if you're on Shopify, you get a bonus. And the bonus is you already have something called meta fields inside your product setup and on your product dashboard. The cool thing there is they're not necessarily designed for AI, but we figured out a way to hijack them, use them with the AI visibility layer. So once it's set up, if you ever need to come back and add to it, exchange, do whatever, or update data, you can do it dynamically through your meta fields and never have to touch the code of your website. So that's the first layer of the data that we work on.
Okay.
The next thing is the smart data points. Okay. Now, smart data points, actually, let me give you an analogy that makes this visibility layer make a whole lot of sense. This is how I explain to people that it really helps. Think about going into, this is why AI can't see your store, first of all. Think about going into a grocery store, going down an aisle, and all the products are blank. They all look the same. They have no label, nothing. You don't know what's in them. Are you going to shop in that store? No.
No,
You're going to go somewhere else where you can figure out what you're trying to buy.
Right.
So that's the visibility problem. But next thing along that same analogy is think about a nutrition label. The nutrition label tells you all the stuff that's in the product, all the things you need to know. The AI visibility layer is the nutrition label for AI commerce.
Okay.
So hopefully that paints a little bit more clear picture. Now, in that nutrition label or in the visibility layer, there's things called smart data points. These are your calories, your caffeine, all the things that go in that make it up. Now, smart data points include things like your price, your variance, your colors, your weight, your basic product stats. Okay. Now, but the thing is, it's not just the basics. Their listing is, the AI engine listings are way bigger. Things like, oh, I didn't know you would need that. But most people have this data. They just, again, don't think it ever meant anything. So that's your next layer. Then you have enhanced attributes. These are things that are unique to your product, makes it more specialized. Things like, quiet motor, if you're on a blender type thing, or certain types of speeds, or things that specialize your product. And then from there, there's a whole other level of enhanced attributes that come into comparison data. This is something that nobody thinks about. AI engines do a lot of comparison. That's one of the ways they figure out which ones to recommend. So you need comparison data, for example, 500 horsepower motor versus 1,000 horsepower motor. Brand versus brand, durability versus durability. All these different things need to be considered. So, and then there's a whole bunch of really advanced smart data points that we won't get into here, but there's probably 5 or 6 more levels deeper you can go that just continuously boost your likelihood of getting picked up. And then the bottom part of this that kind of puts it all together is the code integration, where we use the JSON to actually structure all of this data and put it into the website. Now we have tools that make this easy to do because nobody wants to have to hire a developer for all this stuff and whatever.
One by one, yeah.
Correct. So, the biggest workload is in the initial assembling of all the data that's needed. Mm-hmm. But as we all know, we've all used AI to help us pull data together and find stuff, right? So there's easy ways to do that as well. And we can tell you exactly all that stuff. So inside my system, the program I'm launching, we're doing that. And what I'm going to do is I'm launching a live cohort where we're going to teach people live with my team and everything and help them implement and get it all dialed in so that they can get to market faster. But that's coming later. I'm not here to sell you that. If you don't want to use it, cool. If you're super smart and can figure it out on your own, or just or die hard do-it-yourselfer, go for it. It can be done. I'm not saying it can't. The biggest thing right now is speed and opportunity cost.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say the opportunity cost. I think that's the thing. It's just you're right. You can start digging in and researching and stuff. And, I've taken, I'm on page 3 of notes here. I'm learning a ton here today. I get it. I get the urgency factor around all of this. I also feel that there's an opportunity cost of, unfortunately, the DIY approach, because it's just how much more revenue could you generate if there's already a process and tools and systems already set up to help you execute on this versus, hodgepodging it together and not knowing, because you clearly have some case studies of your own portfolio brands. And plus, and the large merchants, the large brands are doing this already anyways with all of these parts of the smart data points and the enhanced attributes and the comparison data. They have all this stuff. And so why not use your system, get involved? I know you're not here to pitch it today, but at least we're here to educate that coming very soon. It's available.
Yes, it's available.
And knowing that, what you should get on board, because it's silly not to.
For sure. Now, actually, I have one, I just remembered, but there's one other stat that I thought was mind-blowing coming out from that AI data engineers gave us. And that is that the beta test brands are seeing 3.2x more AI traffic month over month after implementing their visibility layer. So it's progressively growing the traffic they're getting after implementing. Now, obviously, I don't know how that holds across the entire internet, but what these brands are implementing inside of these beta programs is the exact same thing I'm talking about here. And the engineers aren't doing it for them. They're just telling them. And then for the brand that I'm working with, the 2 brands inside the program, we had to do it ourselves. And then we would just show it to them, and then they'd run tests and they'd help us tweak it and fix it, but they're not doing it for us. So we got our hands dirty figuring out. That's how I was able to kind of reverse engineer and then test it on some of my own stuff and clients and things like that. So, but that's crazy. 3.2 X traffic, so 3
X.
times the traffic, week over week
Yeah.
after implementing.
What's interesting too about that is that I think that also feeds Google's algorithm on its own. Forget how the traffic got there. The traffic is there. And I think
Correct.
overall, when a site is popular, however the referral traffic, wherever it's coming from, being it social, being it from ChatGPT or Perplexity, Gemini, wherever, it's still coming there. And then knowing that, that's another ranking signal that this is a
100%.
popular website.
Now, that's a good point. So they haven't given us any statistics or specifics about it, but one of the things they did say was that, and when I say they, I mean the AI engineers that in our meetings that we had, was that implementing the structured data layer will also indirectly help Google Ads.
Okay.
Because of the way Google integrates like search and all that kind of stuff in Google Ads and like their rankings and all of that. But it will also help your SEO. It will also help in, on page bots like we had talked about. But there's a lot of secondary benefits in specifically the SEO world and the ranking world from using this structured data. And it also feeds something we didn't talk about. I want to touch on this real quick because we didn't mention it, but it's very important. And I've got a tool you guys can use that we'll give you in a second that you can plug your URL into and see how it's performing. But 2 things have happened, or 3 things have happened recently that are really ramping this up and showing the importance of this. One of which is Google recently launched Shop with AI. Right now, Shop with AI actually allows you to complete the purchase in Google with never actually going to the product website. Okay, so that's crazy. Perplexity has the same kind of thing with their Shop with Pro, in-purchase purchases, and any Pro purchase also gets free shipping. So there's all kinds of perks. Gemini is going to be rolling out something similar. Copilot has their own version coming, but there's those 2. Perplexity also they have their merchant program that they're rolling out. The only ecosystem they've integrated with is Shopify. Now, all Shopify stores by default are connected to Perplexity.
Right.
But again, it's like you have a door, but you can't walk through it because the data is not there to go through it. So you still need the visibility layer to leverage it. The other thing that just happened, Shopify did their summer update push out.
Yeah, the additions, yeah.
Correct. Which, I mean, some of those are amazing. I love the whole AI assisted site builder and all the cool things you can do with it. But one of the things they mentioned was this whole AI catalog or catalog integration with AI. So what they've done is they've taken the entire Shopify catalog, which means every store's product in the catalog, in all catalogs, put them into one big catalog, connected that with AI. Now, I don't think they actually mentioned which specific ones, but we know they have a Perplexity integration, and we also know because of some slips or leaks that have come out that they have been testing it with OpenAI.
Okay.
And there's some screenshots that show in OpenAI's code, Shopify's like checkout URL and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we know that that's coming, right? Now, the unfortunate thing there is, again, it's just a connection. If you don't have the data, AI still can't leverage it. Now, maybe it gives you a bump from 8 to 10% or 8 to 12%, but you're still not able to really leverage it. But as a Shopify store connected to both Perplexity and OpenAI, and I'm sure soon to Google, if you also have your data layer installed, I mean, you're going to be like supercharged above almost any other brand that's some on Shopify or off Shopify, because you have like direct, I don't know if it's API connection or whatever, that direct ground layer connection they have to feed data faster.
Right. Yeah, I actually read about that too, about the Shopify catalog and how it's directly integrating to Perplexity. It is quite interesting because of what they're doing, and I think this is where it all comes around kind of what you're discussing right now about enhancing the data layer and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's basically accessing the product information that's in the Shopify store, and it's kind of enabling this kind of like AI shopping experience to happen. But the challenge is that if you don't have a fully enriched JSON LD kind of data layer of all the things that we talked about, the smart data points and the attributes and comparison data and all the different things. If you don't have all of that in there, you're not setting up your brand for success. You're getting some basics that Shopify is just giving you from a Perplexity and soon OpenAI, but you have a whole nother level.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
I understand.
It's so much. Now, what I would say also is we're not trying to get your store up to Amazon or even Walmart's level. You don't need that. But you can go from 8 to above Target. You can go from 8 to 40 to 60 or whatever. But even if you only went to Target's level, Target's getting recommended left and right. So, and you can chip away at it over time. You can get the basics done and come back and add more later. the data layer can evolve. It doesn't have to be perfect or complete at one time. I mean, you should do, like I said, there's smart data points, enhanced attributes, comparison data, and then all the ninja stuff beyond that. But if you just got your smart data points, your basic stuff, the whole list of those, that would still put you ahead of 80-ish, 70, 80% of the whole rest of the e-com population in terms of visibility.
Yeah.
So
no, 100%.
You don't have to tackle the whole enchilada at once.
All right. So Tanner, so what about people that are listening right now and they're thinking, okay, I need to get started immediately on this. What do you say to them? What's the first thing that they should do as soon as they've finished listening to this episode? Like, what do you want the next steps to be?
So, I'm a big believer in trust but validate. And, yes, everything I'm telling you here is 100% true and real. But at the same time, like, I want you guys to understand it yourself. So what I've done, the next step should be learn more about this, regardless of whether this is with me or whatever. You need to learn more, educate yourself, make the decision if it's right for your store or not. But to help you do that, I think the easiest thing to do is we have a whole tool suite that we've built for our team to be able to do these installs. Like we do custom installs of this for some of our clients and bigger brands. And fair warning, like if you're wanting something like that, it starts at 10,000 and it ramps up from there. But why I'm saying that is you don't need it. Okay? There's a lot of people who just don't want to be bothered with it, and that's where we come in on that. But your team, you yourself can do it. It's not that complicated. I'm not that technical, and I can do it. So, but again, I want you guys to actually get your head wrapped around this better. No obligation to me or anything else. So what I've done is that we have this tool suite. What we did was we actually created a simplified version of one of our analyzer tools. And I'm going to give it to everybody for free. You can use it as many times as you want, whatever. And I'll give you guys a link whenever we give links out and whatnot. But what I want you to do is just go use that analyzer tool, plug in some of your product URLs, plug in some of your competitors' product URLs, whatever. Do a search, or not a search, analyzation. That's not even the right word. But click the button and have it analyze your URL.
Yeah.
And see what it spits out. It will tell you what data points it can currently read on your site. It will tell you what data points you're missing, what enhanced attributes you're missing. Now, it's not going to be a complete list because it's a huge list, but it will give you a top-down, biggest list of things that you're missing and give you a score based on where you fall in the AI visibility range based on the attributes you have and what's missing.
I see.
It's pretty cool. Now, again, this is a simplified version, so I'm not going to say it's like 100% dead nuts accurate compared to our advanced tool.
Right.
But it's something that doesn't, like that tool costs money to run every time we run it. This one doesn't. So
I see.
I would say it's in the 90th percentile in terms of work. So it'll 100% help you guys. And again, I'm not trying to downplay it, but I also just want to be transparent. Like I'm not trying to pull the wool on anybody's eyes, but it works really well. A lot of my team uses it whenever we need to do like a quick analysis on a random website, or we're just like, I wonder how that guy's doing. We plug the URL in. Along with that, I'm also going to give you I call it a case study PDF, but it's actually more of a case study / white paper PDF because I give you all the background data and all the explanation stuff, as well as like tool data and everything and a bunch of case studies. It's all, you can get the tool and the PDF, no charge. You want me to give the link now? Or you want me
to we'll do that. I'll also put it in the show notes too.
Okay.
So
So the URL is ecomaidatalayer.com. So ecomaidatalayer.com. Again, like you said, it'll be in the show notes, but go over there, grab that tool and try it. And then let that open your eyes and see what you want to do. Do some more research. And then if the AI, visibility system is something that you want to look at, cool. Absolutely great. Would love to have you, but no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, this is lovely. Well, yeah, like I said, page 3 of notes today. I always joke. Sometimes 1 page is 2 pages. Today's a 3-pager. It's just life of learning is my mantra. Even the Shopify days, just like there's always something new and exciting. This is particularly leading edge and exciting because there is, big businesses clearly finding massive success. The infrastructure is there. It's just a lot of people in Shopify seeing the writing on the wall too, by making relationships with Perplexity and OpenAI soon, and I'm sure Anthropic and others. And so like knowing all of that, and knowing that, as you said right from the beginning of the show, like there is a fundamental shift in how people are researching, discovering, and then ultimately buying products online now. Your wife's a case in point. I'm the same way. So it's really cool this is happening.
And the final piece I want to say is, guys, just understand whether you are totally sold or not, understand that this is not coming. It's already here. It's already happening. And the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to get bigger. I mean, if we look at 2 years ago, we didn't really have AI in the form we're using it now, right?
Correct. Yep.
And now look at how much has changed just in the time. I mean, that whole, what was it, VO3, now you can make cinematic movies off a prompt. It's nuts.
With Sora now?
Yeah, it's crazy. And then now we've got this whole AI commerce thing that they're putting these AI platforms are putting a lot of resources behind it because they see it as the light at the end of their tunnel to actually achieving profitability.
Right.
So now it's not all going to make, like if they do a recommendation and you click through and buy off the site, they're not going to make money off that. But as they roll out more of these integrated programs like Perplexity has and Google has, then they're going to take a rip, or they're going to get, just like they do with flights, right? Google Flights, they take a rip off every flight they recommend.
Right.
So that's happening. And, you just got to get in front of it, guys.
Yeah. Well, it's been massively eye-opening. Thank you, Tanner, for hustling to make this recording today, because I think it's timely, it's important. And like I said, being in June now, there's such a huge opportunity now. Like it's just like people are going to burn, I don't want to say burn through summer. Then all of a sudden, like mid-August, people are all of a sudden thinking about Q4 and BFCM, and they're trying to get all, you see in LinkedIn, all the different posts and things going on, all these strategies and stuff.
Yeah.
I can guarantee if you're listening to this right now, this is going to continue to be a topic. It's just like, but what are you doing about it today? To be an early adopter and get that market edge that I think everybody deserves to get if they're willing to explore more and learn more. Sometimes it can be challenging for some, but at the end of the day, there's opportunity there. And it's just like, that's why I have you on the show today to share. Thank you for being so honest and transparent about, the brands you worked with, your portfolio of businesses that are, under your own umbrella. This is like really cool stuff.
No, I appreciate it. I'm glad we got to get on here and talk about it. I mean, I've been, I tell everybody who wants to listen, including people who don't want to listen. So it's been nice. It's nice to get in front of an audience that actually will appreciate what we're talking about here. So
100%.
Thank you.
This has been the longest recording I've ever done in my life. I've been podcasting for 8 years, but this is a really, really important topic, and it's going to be a lovely show notes, lovely transcript. So thank you for recording today, and I wish you continued success.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.